Kay tàllam bay baal ma ak jëli nga ubbi bunti saal bi bu baax déedéet yóbbu ko so maama xaaral ma aar la léegi ma seet moo def ok so you know baax na
Okay. I'm here.
Mama affaire bi dafa bañoon di so I had to drop it dama ko am pour drop pour ñëw
Okay.
léegi pour ñëw léegi so xaaral ma just ma léegi ñu seet
Okay. Legi, it's good.
just so xaaral ma jéema li ñu just ñëw dem back to lu ñu def yeah
Yep.
So just 1 second, I want to go back to this message. We press release. We have the weekend. Okay. So, Mama.
Now.
So, Mama. Now I was talking about the agriculture minister. Just like Limadon at the end. With all other coalition members, especially the vice president and Henry Gomez. The wording was very strategic. The wording was very strategic. The presidency all the time, when even my Fatou was on the exit, they made it look nice. They said he's been redeployed to foreign service. With my Fatou, they said that. And with Honorable Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, they still said he's been moved to the foreign service. With Honorable Henry Gomez, they said he's coming to the presidency as
youth advisor.
Why is the noise? Okay, see, okay. With Honorable Henry Gomez, they said he's been moved as a special youth advisor. But with Honorable O.J. Jallow, they just said he's been relieved of his duties. What would you think might play a part in that?
Again, a lot of people are speculating that it could be this this case that is at the Attorney General's office, because we know that from what the State House said, there is a file at the Attorney General's office that the president is waiting for advice on in terms of the fertilizer scandal. And that has really affected Honorable O.J. Jallow. Of course, again, we have all heard from him when he had that press release talking about his role in the fertilizer issue. But what was very obvious with that is that Fatou, even if you do not, if you were not involved in the negotiations or in awarding a contract, if you see something on your desk a month later that you know this is not right or this is not ethical, it's something that you need to stop or you need to do something about. And I think maybe that did not help him, the fact that this contract went through. Something as toxic as that went to a businessman who has no technical expertise in terms of disposing it, and it was actually sold to another country, Senegal, meaning that even international laws have been broken, Fatou, because if you look at international criminal law, selling a fertilizer or something as toxic as that to another country, knowing fully that this could affect them, is actually a criminal act. So definitely, this looking at it from we're looking at this scandal from a very myopic point at the moment, but this is bigger than even us, I think, because if Senegal gets involved and say, you have sold us fertilizers that even where you stored them, when livestock goes past these fertilizers, they die, meaning that this is very toxic. And you sell that to neighboring Senegal, and those farmers are using it to farm with, etc., using it on farm produce that later the public consumes. Of course, this can be, internationally, we have broken a law, and I think Barrow is cognizant of that. And this could actually be something that, if Senegal wants to take forward, is actually a criminal offense that has been committed. So definitely that did not help Honorable Oje Jallow, I'm sure, because it is under his watch. When he realized even a month later that this is what has happened, he should have put a stop to it. He should have acted. And this is why we're telling all our ministers that you need to take responsibility. You cannot leave these things to permanent secretaries or directors or whatever. You need to take responsibility, because at the end of the day, the axe falls mainly at the top. It starts from the minister themselves. So they need to take responsibility. And this is something we'll tell all the ministers all out there, who, you know, you need to take responsibility. You need to take ownership of your ministries. You cannot say it's the responsibility of the permanent secretary or whoever it is. It is your responsibility. You're the one responsible for that ministry. You're the minister. So definitely,
and then
I don't know if
uh-huh.
the lands minister is a good choice, Fatou, for
Good
that post
replacement,
again.
yeah, for
Yeah,
good.
because
Like I personally doesn't know the Lamin Mdiba. I don't know if that's a good choice right now, because of course, you know, it's the raining season. The farmers would want the fertilizer supplies. So making a great move, a big move like this might affect the season. You know, that is something that a lot of people are also worried about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, the timing again with what has happened, the replacement, you know, in terms of handing over and everything, it's something that can be debated as well. But we will have to see, Fatou, what they come up with later on. But it's not looking, you know, whether this we would hope that the people at the ministry, the permanent secretary, the other people will take responsibility and make sure that the farmers get their produce on time, and that they really, you know, do what is expected. But again, um, we will just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see.
Then let's move to the foreign affairs, a very important portfolio. I have said this personally. I personally think Tangara has the qualification, Tangara has the experience, Tangara has the stamina. Tangara is a very high profile person for this job. He is very, very seasoned. Remember, he worked as foreign affairs minister twice. He worked as higher education minister, and he also been in the UN for the past couple of years. Tangara has a lot of influence when it comes to international affairs. What's your take on his appointment as the Minister of Foreign Affairs?
Like I said when we first started, Fatou, I was fortunate to work with Tangara very closely with him during the struggle. And you know, he was very instrumental, especially during the impasse when we were, you know, when it was very difficult. We were able to get a lot of UN action and a lot of UN resolutions and movements because of the role that Tangara played. So definitely, from a first hand, having worked with him so closely at that level, I know that he's very capable. And you know, I know that I think for me, this is one of the most welcome appointments I can say, him and Mamburi, because also Mamburi comes highly recommended by the international community, and Tangara is also very well respected in UN circles,
Yeah.
and that's why he was able to get a lot of resolutions against Jammeh at the time that, you know, the time of the impasse when we were really fighting to get, you know, if you can, at the UN, if you think about what happened at the time, all the countries, including Russia, who, you know, Russia, when USA votes X, they vote Y. It doesn't matter what it is. They just in opposition of everything that the US does. But because of the respect that they had for Tangara, because of the good working relationship that he had with them at the time, even Russia voted against Jammeh at the Security Council when they were putting in the resolutions to help during the impasse. So that shows the level of exposure and the level of respect he has within the international community. So definitely, I welcome his appointment, and I hope that again he'll be able to come and bring in the necessary reforms at the foreign service, because that's also, there's a lot of reforms needed at the foreign service as well. And I hope you know, President Barrow will give you know, them the support that is needed to be able to really push through these reforms. And it's going to be painful, but the reforms have to happen so that we can get, you know, a good team together.
Mama, one major move that the president also made, that I want to point out, is no UDP member is out of the cabinet. Instead, he's just moved them. The next position I'm talking about is the trade ministry. Amadou Sane. Amadou Sane is the minister of was the minister of finance. He was not sacked, but he was moved to the minister of trade. Again, I want to point this out. I still think the president is making a political move. He's telling the UDP, I want you to embrace me. I'm part of the UDP. I want to be embraced as a UDP member. This just, it's all over. The fingerprints are all over that this is a UDP government now. What's your take? That's my belief, Mama.
Fatou, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay. Again, I would say that that is I said that's a chess move for Barrow. I don't know what the motivation is, but that's a chess move for Barrow, and that's why I said it's now looking more like a UDP government than anything, than a coalition government. So UDP has to take responsibility and ownership of this government and push the reform agenda through to be able to deliver. If this government does not come up with proper reforms and painful reforms and change, they will not deliver. So UDP has to say, we have the base, we have the support. Some of the decisions are not going to be popular. They're not going to be exactly welcome, but those are the right decisions that we need to make to be able to push this country forward and to be able to get results. They cannot expect to do the same things and get the same results. They're just going to get the same results. If they want to do the same things and get different results, they have to come up with proper reforms, painful reforms, unpopular reforms, but things that are needed to really push the reform, the country forward.
I think moving forward, Mama, the UDP should just embrace this change and believe and know that that this is their government, and they're just going to make those radical changes, because from now onwards, no one can come out and tell us this is not a UDP government, because the fingerprints are all over. But again, for them to make those moves, they don't have to be scared of embracing the government. What they should do now is to embrace it and take control and make sure, even if people are going to say, oh, now you're just putting your people all over, but get the agenda out and make sure you push it to what you want. Because if not, 2021, the coalition members, the other members, can come together and form a coalition against this government.
And this is where I say, Fatou, you have just hit the, like they said, you have just hit the nail on the head. This is why I say that this is a political move that needs to be analyzed very carefully, because when you alienate the other opposition members, you are creating a space for them to also come together to fight you. So you have to be, and this is where, you know, you have to be strategic in the way that you look at these things. Yes, you know, this is now looking more like a UDP government, but there is also a disadvantage in terms of Barrow, in terms of UDP, had the partnership of at least the NRP, which is Ahmad Ba, and also with my Fatou's party, the GMC.
GMC.
Yeah, so if you alienate all of those people, you know, you risk putting them, actually pushing them together to form a coalition to fight you. So what kind of move is Barrow making, and is Usainu analyzing it from a point of view of whether this is advantageous to the UDP or not? That's another thing. But again, again, we'll just have to see what happens. But I can tell you that these are all some of the things that we need to look at very closely. Right now, we're just reacting, but we're just reacting. But we will see. We will see what happens.
We will see what happens. And
Fatou, I don't know, because I'm not getting you on video. Are you getting me on video?
Yes, I am. I'm seeing you. Everyone is seeing you. Are you seeing Mama Lingel? Can you say yes if you can see Mama Lingel? Can you say yes if you're seeing Mama Lingel? I am seeing you. Perfect. You're not seeing me?
No, I can't see you, but we can talk, because I don't want to touch anything and it goes off again.
Yeah, but we are able to see you. We are able to see you.
Okay.
So Mama, let's go to the youth and sports. So I think the youth and sports, Mama, is one area I think personally a lot of people will say is a good move, because remember the Honorable Minister of Youth, when he just came, he had issues with all the stakeholders under his ministry. The honorable minister have a serious issues with the GFF. In fact, that resulted to him launching an investigation on the GFF, and also the honorable minister also suspended the GFF, and the FIFA reacted to that. In fact, at one point, FIFA wanted to suspend them because they believe that they were meddling into sports. And recently, we saw him with the National Youth Council. And personally, I remember when we went to how do you call it, the State House, there was this program when the under-17 came. You saw the way the president, when you saw the way the GFF and the minister reacts, it was so uncomfortable. The president was so uncomfortable because at some point the honorable minister spoke and he did not even acknowledge. He acknowledged everybody on the platform, on the high table, except the GFF president. So it tells you the relationship there is really bad. So for a minister who is not pulling well with everybody that he works with, I think this one is a great move, Mama.
Fatou, it cannot be a better move because again, we just have to call it as it is. Mr. Gomez unfortunately does not have what it takes for that ministry, and putting him there or leaving him to continue to serve is really going to be counterproductive. And in as much as they, I'm sure Barrow wants to accommodate the coalition agenda, you have to look at the caliber of people that are also coming into the government and what they can bring to the table. Because we have gone past the stages where we have, ministers who cannot even express themselves. We saw him at the National Assembly not even being able to articulate some of the things or some of the questions that he was being asked. So really, I think Barrow made the right decision. He made the right move there. Again, I don't know who this new minister is. I've never heard of that name. So I don't know much about anything about this new minister for youth and sport. But I hope it is somebody who knows something about youth and sport and can deliver, because the youth of the nation, they Fatou Touré are the most important stock that the government has. And when I talk about stock, I'm talking about this is they are the people that the government is going to rely on to push the change agenda. They're the people who are going to take over from this government. So the youth agenda is very important, and we need to have somebody who is very, very who is very able to deal with these issues of the youth, who is able to create employment, who is able to motivate the youth. We have seen in Europe here, Fatou, what the youths do here, they will not do in Gambia. If you tell a Gambian, most of them are sitting down, like a lot of people are saying, not even wanting to work at a bakery. Or I can remember at one time I told somebody, I can get you a job at the petrol station so you can work there. And even though the person has no qualifications, he did not want to work at the petrol station. He wants to work at an office. So we need to be able to a total to change the mindset of the youth, for them to understand that all of these professions are also decent ways of earning a living. And whatever you do to earn a decent living, in terms of skills or in terms of working in an office, or whatever you're doing in terms of being out there learning a skill and being able to deliver, this is what makes builds a nation. We cannot all be in an office and build a nation. Some of us have to be mechanics, others have to be electricians, others have to work at the petrol station, others have to clean, others have to do all these other things that puts together, that when we put it together, is what makes the country work. But if, like we're seeing, if foreigners dominate making bread, if foreigners dominate being designers in the country in terms of tailoring, etc., foreigners dominate the market at the in terms of selling fish and all of these basic commodities. What happens is when those foreigners leave the country, or when they go on holiday, we see the impact in the country. So we have to be able to have these difficult conversations that are going to encourage our youth to understand that what builds a country is not sitting at the office, it's entrepreneurship, is being able to be out there learning skills that will also contribute towards the economy, being even employers in the economy. Because when you learn a skill, or you learn a trade, you can also employ other people that can also come and work for you. And this is how you build an economy, through entrepreneurship. It's not through working in an office or working in government that will build this economy. So as long as we don't understand that, or the youth do not have that understanding, you know, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know who is coming to the youth ministry, but I hope it's somebody that will really be able to galvanize and have this national conversation that can move the youth agenda forward. Definitely.
Now, Mama, let's go to your favorite ministry, the Ministry of Health. You started a crusade. You know, yesterday I was talking to somebody, and you said, you know, his exact words to me, Mama Linger, na campaign min kumas. Damante ya mampare ya buka bara. Why were you so passionate about the health ministry? Safilo is gone, Mama.
And again, I have to say that it's nothing against Safilo. I don't know Safilo personally. We have no interactions on a personal level. You know, the only thing that I have an interaction with her with is that I have, you know, people who have worked with her, or who have I have reached out to reach out to her, have not been successful in convincing her of the dire situation of our health in the country that needed to be, and the difficult decision that she needed to make to really drive the health ministry forward. So I don't have, like I said, any personal agenda against her, Fatou. But health is the what they, you know, there's this corny saying, health is the wealth of the nation, but it is true. Fatou, if you're not healthy today, you will not sit in front of this Facebook talking.
Yeah.
If I'm not healthy today, I will not be able to also sit here talking to you. If our youth are not healthy, if our people are not healthy, I can tell you nothing is going to happen in that country that will develop the country. A healthy nation, like they say, is a nation that will develop. And when our healthcare has been in this situation for such a long time, Fatou, and 1 year, 6 months into this new change, you cannot even bring paracetamol into the hospitals. You cannot make sure that X-ray machines are functional. You cannot make sure that dialysis machines are functional. You cannot make sure that oxygen, basic oxygen is available and oxygen tanks are refilled. Then we have a problem. And Fatou, I'm not going to sit back and wait until my relative dies, or somebody very close to me dies at that hospital before I get up, or in these hospitals before we get up and say, you know, no, this needs to change. We need to yeah, we need to say that no, this is unacceptable. Even if it's one woman, you know, in any all the African countries now, Fatou, women are not dying from childbirth. Babies are not dying from infections. We have babies that are dying from infections at the hospital because there isn't, you know, this contamination that is going on, and there isn't the machines for the labs to be able to even culture the test and tell the doctors this is the bacteria that this child has, or this is the virus that this child has. So basically, you know, doctors are just treating, guessing basically, because they do not have the lab support that they need to be able to do proper diagnostics and stuff like that. Definitely, that situation cannot continue, Fatou, because that's not only going to affect, you know, people in the Gambia. It's going to affect all of us, and that's why when I said I'm going to start my crusade, I said I'm going to start with health, because that's the most important ministry in that country. If people are healthy, if our youth are healthy, if people are getting treatment, then we can solve many of the problems that are happening. But if, you know, and we have a lot of myriad of problems. We have, you know, this drug abuse that is going on, and we need to have Kampama or whatever you call it now, tanka, stocked and supported and ready to really take the conversation to the population, that you're abusing some of these substances that can actually affect your mental health and stuff like that. So really, for me, it wasn't just, it wasn't a personal crusade against Sophie Lowe or anybody at the ministry. But like I said, even if they change the Sophie Lowe and bring somebody else, if the directors and the program managers at the health department do not change their attitude in terms of travel, in terms of per diem, in terms of organizing all these workshops where they just go and talk about problems that they already know the answers to, then we will still continue to fight, and we will still continue to talk. So this is not the end of you know, whatever we're doing. Of course, we will support Aissatou Touré, and we will give her all, we will reach out to her and give her all the necessary support. But she needs to also, like we said, with every ministry there, she needs to also make the tough decisions that are going to be needed to move the country forward, to move the health of the country forward. And that that might require, again, unpopular decisions, including sacking some people who are just not doing, who are just not delivering. But that's what we need to do if we're going to help the people. Fatou, we cannot continue to have our people dying from, you know, you go to the hospital, you have pneumonia, they treat you for malaria, you're going to die. There's no ifs, ways, or buts about it. You're going to die because the treatment is not the same. So if they blindly treat you for malaria when you have pneumonia, you're going to die. That's unacceptable. Babies cannot keep dying because they do not, you know, you cannot even diagnose properly the virus that they have, or the bacteria that is killing them. Our women cannot continue dying at the labor ward because they do not have blood. Our women cannot continue suffering at that labor ward because, you know, even to stitch them after delivering and having a tear is a problem. That is unacceptable.
Yeah. So what do you think of Dr. Aissatou Toure? Dr. Aissatou Toure is a feminist. One would expect she would go to the Ministry of Women's Affairs. What experience, what expertise does she have to be able to run the Ministry of Health? Remember, the Ministry of Health is a very, very crucial department. She has no health background. She's a gender activist. And all of a sudden, she finds herself at the Ministry of Health. Is that a calculative move? Is that a good move? Is somebody pulling the strings for Dr. Aissatou Toure? What's the problem there, Mama?
Like I said, Dr. Aissatou Toure has been able to bring together not just health professionals, but also religious leaders and everybody, and galvanize them in their fight against FGM.
Yes.
So again, that has given her, she's a technocrat, and she has that technical skill to be able to do that. So we will expect that if she can transfer that to the health department in terms of bringing the experts together as well as the communicators together, because it's not just about getting the equipment and curing people. It's also about educating the population on what is important in terms of health, how they themselves can prevent basic diseases and basic infections, etc. And that requires the teamwork and coordination with communicators, even the likes of Kerr Fatou. You know, Dr. Toure should be using all of you to communicate messages. For example, with this, we all know there has been research done at the MRC that shows conclusively, without an iota of a doubt, that groundnuts that have these aflatoxins that are, you know, that are spoiled and have this, they have what is called aflatoxins, and that creates liver, that leads to liver cancer. Yeah. Our people take those groundnuts, instead of throwing them away, they put they use it as groundnut paste, or what do you call the local, what's peanut butter? What is peanut butter again?
Dege.
Yeah, dege. Instead of throwing these groundnuts that are you know, that are not perfect, they use those groundnuts that have aflatoxins and use it as peanut butter, and then people in the community buy it at the markets, etc., and eat it, and it leads to cancer. There is conclusive research and evidence that shows that groundnuts, you know, these groundnuts that are not fresh, you know, can have aflatoxins that can lead to liver cancer. And we have a high prevalence of liver cancer in Gambia at the moment. I think it's one of the highest prevalence of cancer in the country. So there has to be that public communication in terms of educating the population, educating the masses about these things. There has to be public conversation about even the way that we just throw litter everywhere. Again, the health ministry has to come on board and say, this is not good for your health. You know, you're throwing this litter and you're littering the country. You are inhaling, or you're burning plastic bags in these places, and you're inhaling this smoke that can lead to liver, lung cancer, and all of these things, and all these other hazards. You know, mosquitoes coming and you know, finding a dumping ground that they can use to breed, and then they go and you know, affect the communities as well. So these are all public health themes or issues that the ministry has to coordinate in terms of Ministry of Communication, working very closely with health to ensure that, you know, the public is educated. So I think Fatou, like I said, it's very important that Dr. Aissatou Toure is able to work across the board. And I've seen her do it with the FGM campaign when she worked with the doctors and worked with the
Yes.
religious leaders and campaigned against FGM. If she can transfer those skills to the health ministry, I think she'll do
Health
well.
Ministry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she has the expertise on the ground as well. There are a lot of Gambians, qualified Gambians, both at home and in the diaspora, who can help her in terms of technical support and in terms of, you know, expertise, etc. So, you know, she has that resource. If she is not proud, and I say this, if she's not proud enough to ask for help and use that help, she'll do very well. Our people, and that's the problem, our people needs to stop being proud or thinking that people will, when they help them, would take their jobs, and
Yeah.
realize that these people, most of them, especially those in the diaspora, are just coming because they want to contribute, they want to do something meaningful. And if you use their
Yeah.
expertise and you use their help, you can get a lot done. So I hope that she will do that, and I hope as well, she has, her husband is a doctor, and her family, I think most of her kids also are in the medical profession, so she has that,
And her
also that
husband, yes,
support.
yes,
Yeah, she has that
that will
support
be,
as
yeah.
well. And so if she listens and is ready to learn quickly, I think she will be okay, definitely.
I also think she will be a fantastic health minister. She has great skills. Mama, the Honorable Minister of Tourism and Culture is still in the cabinet. My dear friend Ahmad Ba is still in the cabinet.
Yes. Fatou, I think again, you know, no matter what you say about Ahmad Ba,
You
one thing
say to
that you,
Ahmad Ba,
one
anything,
thing
I want
that
to
you
say
can
this.
give him, yeah,
Whatever you tell Ahmad Ba, give him the due. Ahmad Ba is
he
one of the
knows
areas
tourism.
that is doing very well in
Yeah,
the economy.
thank
The
you.
tourism sector is booming right now, and I
Yep.
think so many tourists are coming. The Scandinavians are coming, even the British are coming. So he
Yeah.
did he did
I
a very
can,
good job. Yes.
yeah, I can tell you that I met Ahmad Ba when my mom was working at Novotel, and he was there
Yeah.
working. So he knows the industry. That you have to give him. He knows the
Yeah.
industry, he knows the technicalities in that industry, and he knows what is required. So whether people disagree with him on a personal level, when he talks about, when he maybe expresses his personal opinion, but one thing we can credit him with is that the tourism sector is doing very well under his leadership. And I don't think, again, Barrow did a very good job, because again, if it's not broken, why try to fix it, they will say. So definitely,
Yeah.
you know, he's doing well. He's bringing in, he's going to these international meetings. He's able to bring in, you know, tour operators and stuff who are coming to the
Yeah.
Gambia or considering coming to the Gambia. So definitely, he knows whatever you say about him personally, you might not like the way he speaks or the way he expresses himself, but you have to give him the fact that he knows what he's doing. He knows his job, and he's been in the tourism
Yes.
sector for a long time, and he knows what he's doing, definitely. So I think that's a welcome move, that he stays and continues to do the work that he's doing.
I think that is a very good move, and the Honorable Minister of Tourism is doing a great job, and the tourism is boosting. Mama, the Minister of Justice, Honorable Batambedu, is also staying in the cabinet. He is still part of the cabinet, and Ba is the technician. It seems like the president just moved some politicians, but the technicians, most of the technicians are still in the cabinet. Batambedu is still the Justice Minister of the Gambia.
And Fatou, again, that's a good move. Well, Batambedu is, his ministry is one of the ministries that's been delivering. We saw the Truth and Reconciliation Commission has been inaugurated. The commission into the financial dealings of Jammeh is going on. In terms of reforms, also at the Ministry of Justice, you have seen that a lot of the Nigerian mercenary judges are gone. He has promoted and you know, brought in a lot of Gambian Gambian judges and Gambian expertise on into the justice ministry, and experienced Gambian judges have also been recalled into the justice ministry. So definitely, I think for him to stay is justified. He's doing a lot in terms of delivery. He's doing a lot of work, even in terms of, you know, going after Jammeh, even in Equatorial Guinea, for him to answer to some of these things. And those things, that work is not maybe as public as the other work that he's doing. But I think the Justice Ministry is one ministry that you can really say that they are working very hard. They are delivering. And when you consider that, you know, reports that have been done even by international partners, so it shows that the the manpower at the Justice Ministry is very much affected, because the average age of a lawyer or an advisor at the US Justice Ministry is about 24, 25 years old. So he definitely has constraints and challenges in terms of help, in terms of the help that he needs with the legal minds at the ministry. But he's doing the best that he can, even with those constraints. So really, that's a very good move for President Barrow to keep, people who are seasoned, technical people who know what they're doing. And Barr has, vast experience at the Arusha, at the court in Arusha, and I'm sure, that's going to come in very handy when we start the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and everything else. So definitely, again, a very good move there, and I think it's justified, definitely, for him to stay. I know Sisla won't like that. He's very much anti-Barr, but
Don't mind Sisla. Sisla is something else. Sisla wants nobody but only UDP members. See, that's what I always say about these UDP people. So someone just said, Fatou, you're not happy about Uncle Useinu's appointment. I'm like seriously. But give it to them though. These UDP folks, they just. But Mama, one critical thing though, the Interior Ministry. The Interior Ministry. Mbalo is still the Interior Ministry.
Now,
Mbalo, I saw all over Facebook. I saw all over Facebook people like, oh, is it because he's president's brother-in-law, Mama?
Fatou, that's one person who has remained, who I am shocked that he wasn't the first to go. Definitely, I think he should have been the first to leave. He should have been the first to be shown the exit door. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully, he should go, Fatou. There's no negotiations about it. He should not have even waited for the president to sack him. I think he should leave before he gets sacked. And considering that they're saying that even the orders to protect Julake came from him, I think his position is untenable. He needs to go, and he hasn't been very effective as an interior minister. To have the former IGP even taken to come and advise him as interior minister is totally unacceptable. I think he needs to leave, basically.
And finally, Mama, this one, Fatina, a lot of people are saying this government is not women friendly. I think there's only one women minister, Mama Linge.
There's two. There's two. The education minister, Mrs. Cole, and Dr.
Mrs. Cole and Dr. Aissatou Toure. That's not a good share for us women, Mama.
Definitely, and we have to start complaining to Barrow. We have to start, beating the drums and telling Barrow that we're not happy.
They are qualified.
I know that some of the women that he had, like Sophie Lowe, was not effective. But I'm sure we have qualified women out there who can be in these positions. So definitely, the women ratio and really, Barrow needs to work on that, because again, everywhere that you go, experience has shown that women deliver. Effective women who know their stuff. When you put them at the place that they're effective and they can do a very good job. So Fatou, I think Barrow needs to revisit his policy on gender equity. We're in 2018 now, and women empowerment and everything. We don't see that reflected in the new cabinet. We haven't seen it reflected even during his pick the last time. So definitely, we are disappointed in terms of the ratio of women. And I hope that he will address that, definitely. I think in this age of women empowerment and what women are doing in the world, women are achieving so much. We have even Gambian women. We have the likes of, you see what women are doing outside of the country. You have the likes of Jaha Dukure. You have the likes of, what is Baimale's wife's name? She's at the ADB or something.
ADB,
You have,
yes.
yeah, you have a lot of Gambian women out there who are doing fantastic, working
Yes.
in the international community, etc. I think really, again, Barrow needs to visit his women empowerment policy. Women deliver. It has been proven, you know, and they implement. Yes, thank you, Anita. They implement and they deliver. So to keep women and just have two women in the cabinet, I don't think that's acceptable. Really, he needs to look at that.
He needs to definitely look at that. That ratio is not good. It's not definitely good. And to think that also that women are kingmakers. Definitely we should not just be empowering these politicians, but we should be seen also taking a proactive role in government. I think the president needs to look at that. These are serious issues, even with international standards. Governments are evaluated with the role they play in women empowerment. And I think the president definitely needs to look at that and address it as soon as possible. But the finance ministry is not confirmed, Mama. Finance ministry is not confirmed. Mamburi Jai has been named, but it's not been confirmed. But again, there are so many people who are saying right now, "Oh, Mamburi is it was a Jammeh's pick." But I've always said this, and I'm just going to say it: it's not everybody that worked for Jammeh that is bad. People also need to look at that, because it's been 22 years. So many Gambians worked with the former president. It's not everybody that worked for the former president that we should say should not partake in this new government. I think that is something that we all need to speak up openly. You know, there are people.
And
22 years is not 22 days.
yeah,
This is like this is a long time for you to think that everybody that worked for Jammeh should not be in the Garo government. I think that is totally wrong. That is something that we all need to look at. Yes, people should be responsible for their actions. People should pay for what they did. But to say everybody that worked for Jammeh should not work in this government, then we are just we are not. You know, there are
and
good
you
people
know,
that work for
Fatou,
Jammeh. Yeah.
Fatou, what Jammeh did to a large extent was that some
Yeah.
of our very good people, some of our very good technocrats like Mamburi, he chose, used, and dumped them. You know,
Yeah.
you can, and Mamburi has been highly recommended. He comes highly recommended by the World Bank, IMF, and all
Yeah.
of these people. He's highly respected at the international level because they have seen what he has
Yeah.
done. You know, even
Yeah.
in Gambia, some of the policies, the PACPEC, and some of these Yahya Jammeh's vision blueprint, all of those things were credited to Mamburi. He was the one that really was the architect behind all of those things. And you know, the IMF and all of these international organizations have said that when Mamburi was in charge of the economy, and when Mamburi was in charge, he stabilized the economy, and he was able to do what it took to really move the country forward. So I really think that you know, from that perspective, he should be given a chance, and I hope he does accept the appointment and really come and serve to be able to help with the economy and help with the country to really push it forward. His expertise is greatly needed, and I hope that he will accept the appointment. I heard that his appointment has not been confirmed yet, but I hope that he will put the criticism aside and look at this as a service to country and really come and contribute meaningfully towards the development of the country. But you know, I don't agree with Lamin Tamba on anything, but I agree with him on this one. The youth, the representation in terms of youth and women in the government, that really needs to be looked at. We have very dynamic youth, like I said, out there who need to come on board and really be part of the new government. And again, you know, me and Lamin Tamba, we fight about everything, but I have to agree with him on this one. Youth representation and women representation, even in terms of empowering the youth and also empowering women, that's lacking in this thing. And we need to really, you know, take the government to task in terms of, you know, you cannot tell us that there are no qualified women that can come and do this job. So really, you know, if they even, I can volunteer for today to even give them names that they can appoint.
No, definitely. I think President Barrow, should be the new campaign. President Barrow needs to look at the youth. He needs to look at the women. In as much as people applaud some of the changes he made, but he needs to look at these sectors as well. They are very good Gambian youth who can help this president and who are not just going to be there to to say yes to the president on everything, but they will be very radical, and they will just bring support to the president. In politics as well, you have to be very calculative. You know, now in the day in the day of the internet, internet age, a lot of youth are moving people's direction. You know, so the president needs to look at that. In fact, look at the youth advisor. He's old as my grandfather, and look at Henry Gomez now as another youth advisor. So what are you telling us? Are you telling us there's no competent youth in this country? The president.
I mean, and I can tell you, Fatou.
Yeah.
I see this young girl on Facebook. Her name is Salimatu. I don't know her surname, but she's Salimatu something. She's very active in youth matters. Salimatu Fati or something. I think that's her name. Those are the kind of people that you need to bring in as youth advisor. The likes of Ibrahim Cisse, who, when it was really tough, when he denounced Jammeh, left his job at the youth council, and really stood up and fought against dictatorship. These are youth on the ground that you can really bring in to really help you deliver your youth agenda. And again, there are other youth like that I can mention here. But somebody like Salimatu Fati, I love that little girl.
The Banky.
Yeah, but Salimatu is involved up to. No, but Salimatu, someone like Salimatu Fatou is involved even at the youth parliament level, etc. And she's traveling everywhere around Africa, advocating for youth policies, etc. So if you leave that person and bring somebody like Henry Gomez and that Jeng guy, what do they know about youth matters? When was the last? When do they even remember their youth? So really, you have dynamic youth who are working, internationally, recognized internationally. Somebody like Jaha Dukure. Again, I've been telling the president this. Jaha is recognized.
And Nobel Peace. Jaha is competing with the president of the United States for the Nobel Peace.
Thank you. So we have people like that. We have people like that he should bring in as youth advisor. Those people are recognized internationally. People listen to them when they talk from here to the UN. Salimatu Fati goes to the UN and she's talk. People listen. Ibrahim Cisse goes to AU and all these other places. He's talking to the youth and they're listening. Somebody like Jaha is talking and the whole world is listening now.
Listen,
So you have those people like that, Gambians like that. You need to recognize them. You need to recognize them and you need to empower them and you need to work with them. So definitely, telling me that Henry Gomez or this Mr. Jeng is better than somebody like Salimatu Fati and Jaha Dukure and Ibrahim Cisse, come on, that's not justifiable. For me, that's totally unacceptable. And I think Barrow should definitely revisit his policy in terms of youth and women empowerment. Definitely.
I think definitely Barrow should look at that. That is something that he needs to look at, and we will all continue to advocate for that so that the president knows the women and youth of this country are capable enough. We have capable youths. We have capable women to be able to take responsibilities in his government and push his policy agenda. But Mama, can we say that Halifa Saleh has been right? Can we say Honorable Halifa Saleh has been right all along? When Halifa Saleh said he's not going to take cabinet positions, so many of us, I remember when he came to our show, we were on him. We said, Honorable Halifa Saleh, you should have taken this government position because you are part of the coalition. Can we say Honorable Halifa Saleh is right? He foresees this. We are going to be flushed out of this government. That's why he refused to take a government position. Can we say he's right?
Again, I don't think we can say that he's right or wrong because he made a personal decision. His decision was that he will be more effective at the National Assembly, and he's definitely more effective at the National Assembly. Again, so we have to, again, it's about judgment. Everybody has to make the judgment that suits them or the judgment that works for them. So definitely, Halifa made a right judgment call for him that he was going to go into Parliament, and he's been very effective in Parliament. If he was, for me, I think if he was also given a ministerial position, he will be very effective in that ministerial position because he'll be able to drive policy and reform and etc. because he's informed. So definitely, again, he made the right decision for him to go into that. But I also feel that whether the others made the right call or not, again, that is their personal. They have to they have to think about it, whether Henry governments made the right decision to not go into parliament as a nominated member instead, maybe. That's something that he needs to think about. But again, you have to be honest to yourself and say, what am I effective at? What am I good at? Where am I going to deliver? And Halifa said to himself, you know, to be honest with myself, I am more effective at the parliament than I would be in cabinet maybe, and he made that decision. So we have to have other ministers also being able to be honest to themselves and saying, where am I going to deliver? Where am I going to be more effective? Where am I going to be able to contribute more if I'm given this portfolio? So definitely, again, Fatou, I think we all need to have that conversations with ourselves and ask ourselves, where am I going to deliver? What am I going to be most effective doing? And where am I going to serve best? I think Khalifa made that decision. I'm going to be able to serve best if I'm in parliament. Other people should be able to also say the same thing.
But the reason why I said that is a lot of us, including myself, you know, attacked him for that. I remember on our show, and I kept telling him, Honorable, you should have been in cabinet. You could have been a game changer. You could have helped, because a lot of us attacked him. But Khalifa,
no, but again,
politically, I think politically what he did was a good move, because he knew, as a politician, most of these politicians, once you're flushed out of the cabinet, it's going to take a lot more to come back and work on your party, especially if you're not that strong. But being in the National Assembly, he's always going to be what he wants to be. So now, some people can say he was just right in rejecting.
No, I think I think if Khalifa was in parliament, if Khalifa was in cabinet today, I don't think he would have been. Barrow will get rid of him, because I'm sure wherever he would be, he will deliver.
Yeah,
he would have delivered. So I don't think he would have been part of the people going or whatever. So definitely, I think wherever he is, wherever he was, whatever portfolio he had, he would have been able to be very effective and to deliver. That's just Khalifa. So definitely, again, it's a personal decision that he took, and for him, that's the right decision, and we have to respect that. But also, I would say that even if he was in parliament, he would also have, even if he was in cabinet, he would also have delivered. Definitely, Fatou. So I think that he was right personally, and other ministers or other leaders have to also ask themselves these tough questions. Where am I going to be more effective, and be honest to themselves to be able to really serve the people better.
Wow, Mama, that's just great. So finally, Mama, what's going to be your last message? I also want us to bring, before you come back, I also want to bring, get some reaction from the PPP camp, from other political leaders. So I want to see who else I can bring from PPP, from GDC, of course, because they are the major political opposition now. Now that this is a UDP government, that's what it is. So don't tell us it's not a UDP government, the UDP folks. This is a UDP government. So
and that's why I said from the beginning, Fatou, that UDP now has to take ownership and responsibility and accept that this is now very much a UDP government, and they need to take ownership and drive the reform agenda and make sure they deliver, because this is going to be the test of whether people will trust them to continue another mandate after this mandate ends. So UDP, this is going to be a case study for Gambia, and they need to be able to deliver. And so, they need to come up with tough decisions. They need to come up with, wide-ranging reforms that are really going to be. Some of them are not going to be popular, but they're going to be needed to be able to achieve results. Because, like we said before, you cannot do the same thing and expect different results. You have to be radical. You have to be brutal sometimes. I was very radical on Facebook a couple of days or this whole week when I was on about the health of the nation, and a lot of people again were saying it wasn't a popular decision or a popular choice. A lot of people were alienated or felt that this is somebody that they know, and I was attacking that person. And so change is not something that is popular. Change is not something that is always welcome. So really, Fatou, I think, you know, for the UDP to be able to be successful, they have to be almost mandinko kami fo ye kresi bangoke fo kresi bangoke nyaka kesta am yena du popular way nit
they have to be radical.
Yeah, but they have to take ownership. Otherwise, Fatou, I'm coming for them there, because you know now it's I'm going to tell them that you know, you have a vice president who should be the one driving the technical agenda, etc. And you have the parliament, you have the councils, so you have all the structures in place to work in cohesion. And it is very important to coordinate and work in cohesion to be able to deliver. You cannot have this council in Basse working, doing this council in KMC doing this council in this doing this. If you know, for example, that you got two councils, you have a strong person like Talib in KMC, tell him to drive the agenda in terms of moving the councillors to bringing all the mayors together and coming up with a strategy that will move all the councillors in the same directions. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Maybe I need to articulate it better.
Yeah.
But they need to be able to say, okay, we have somebody who very strong and very technical like Talib. Let's use him and say that all the other, and we have somebody also like Rohilo, who's also very business minded, very an entrepreneur. So these are two very strong people that they have. Bring them together and say, okay, let's bring all the other councils under us together. We are going to come up with a uniformed policy, a uniformed structured way of doing things that we will roll out across the councils. So what happens at KMC will also be repeated, at Basse will also be repeated somewhere, so that results are achieved. And this is the same thing that they need to do also with the ministries. You need to come up and say, okay, first, what is the problem here? Where do we start from here? So you know, they need to take ownership. UDP has to take ownership. Otherwise, this is their responsibility, and people are going to come back and say, if you fail on this responsibility, we're not going to trust you for the next 5 years to run the country after the next elections. So definitely they need to come out, and you know, they need to be more accessible to the public. They need to be able to speak to the public, and I think that's where you know, Ibrahim Asila's appointment is very important, because he also is a very good communicator. Because you know, when things happen, you cannot wait for your political opposition or whatever to react before you react. You have to be able to react. You have to be able to take ownership and responsibility. So UDP, again, ownership, responsibility, coordination, cohesion, all of these words, they're key words for them at the moment. This is what is going to test them, whether they're going to be successful or not. And this is what people are going to judge them on when the elections come, to be able to say that, you know, these are people that we can trust to continue to run this country or not. So definitely, Fatou, I don't know how Lawyer Dabo is thinking today, but he should not sleep when he goes to bed. You asked the Interior Minister, do you sleep? And he told you he sleeps, but not very much. Lawyer Dabo should not sleep now. He has
actually you know, he's not in the country right now. He's in workshop. I called him, I think, when I got because we got the press from the State House. When we got the press statement, even before I put it out, I wanted to get his reaction. So I called him. He was in workshop. He's in Mauritania. And then, but I have something interesting here on Facebook, from Facebook, Mama. This is a Facebook post from Femi Mahoney. Let me read it out loud. I just want to read it. The appointment of lawyer Ousseynou Dabo as vice president is unconstitutional. According to Femi, it's unconstitutional as per section 62(2)(b), repeated under section 70(1)(2), due to him being acquitted at law rather than being pardoned by the state. The above position was conclusive after decision of the country's Supreme Court on the Public Order Act remit. Thank you for understanding. I don't know how legal-minded Femi is. I have nothing, like no understanding of what he's saying. But this is what Femi is saying, Mama Linga. This is what Femi is saying. Right now.
And you know, we welcome Femi. We welcome Femi.
You know, my uncle.
From his,
my uncle. I just want to bring my uncle on this live Facebook. Uncle Femi, please come. Please come. Femi Mahoney is just, oh my God, I want to bring him on, Mama.
You know, finally we can say that, you know, Femi, you know, we have a new dispensation. nobody's going to kill you or be upset with
Yes.
you or exile you if you reveal yourself. So definitely, you know. But all jokes aside, I think Barrow has the legal minds in place that will advise and guide him. Again, I'm not a constitutional expert, so I cannot go into the legality of Lawyer Dabo being a vice
Yeah.
president at the moment. But I'm sure that Barrow would have
Yeah.
consulted widely before he made the decision, and we hope that he made the right call in terms of looking at the eligibility criteria, etc., of Lawyer Dabo being vice president. So definitely, again,
Yeah.
yeah, and again, the Lawyer Dabo's conviction is one
Hold
of the
on,
things.
hold on, Mama, hold on. Let me read this. Let me see. Let me see. Let me just. I'm just okay. I just want to. I think okay. Okay, I'm just okay. I think this was something. I thought it was something new that my Mustafa updated, but it's just the same thing that came from the State House. That's okay. So go ahead. It's the same thing. I thought there was another breaking news, but Uncle Femi always brings us the breaking news, though. But hey, I hope we can get some. I hope we can get one legal person just to come on here and just give us his opinion on this. But this is what Femi just said. But Mama, I wanted your opinion on something. So recently, this was going to be, see, this state house though, So remember, just a few days ago, when the foreign the director of press came out and said she is not aware of the she's not aware of the appointment of the government spokesperson. So so that was the biggest that was supposed to be the biggest news. In fact, that was what we were going to talk about on the bread issue, because for the spokesperson of the government to say I am not aware of this appointment, and for the Minister of Interior Information to confirm that the Director of Communication. Personally, I spoke to the Secretary General, which he confirmed, and I also called the PMO. They confirmed. So, Mama, what was happening at the State House? This is what was happening.
Fatou. That's why even today, when this press statement came from Ami Bojang Sisoha, I was like, okay, should we even
you
take it
called me.
seriously? Because I think that was I don't know what happened there in terms of communication, but that should not be repeated. You know, that should not be repeated, because it was very, very embarrassing. It wasn't the right thing to do. A lot of us, I know a lot of us, Ami Bojang has blocked a lot of us because she feels that we're very highly critical of her. I don't know why. Again, if there's something happening and she's still the director of press, etc., then she needs to be in the picture, and she needs to know what is happening. So for that to happen is very embarrassing, and I think they should all learn from that and coordinate. And this is where I keep saying this. This is why I keep saying this, Fatou. It's very important for this government to now start to coordinate and work together. If they don't do that, they're going to fail. Ministers cannot work in silos. Departments cannot work in silos. When you have, your department, you feel that you're only working in health, so you're only going to work with health, because health comes with public, with public health, etc. And you have to be able to communicate to the public. So you have to be able to work cross-discipline. You have to be able to work with for example, the communications minister. You have to be able to work with Women's Bureau. You have to be able to work with all of these different sectors. So I hope that this government will now come together, because at least they're mainly UDP colleagues. So they should be able to speak to each other and be able to work together. It's very important for them to communicate and speak and coordinate. These are not words that we're just throwing out here. These are key words that are very important to the success of this government. If they do not communicate, if they do not coordinate, if they do not, deliver the reforms that are needed, they're going to fail. They've gone a year and a half before we now see a complete government that can help Barrow in terms of coming from the same party and being able to do the same things. but you know, it has to take coordination, it has to take communication, and they have to be able to talk to each other. So even at council level, like I said, Rohilo has to be able to work with Talib
Talib.
and all of these mayors all the way to Basse, so that they can coordinate. And it has to happen as well at cabinet level. They have to be able to work together to coordinate. When finance works with, you know, finance has to be able to work with all of these ministries. And I hope, Fatou, one thing also that the government, the president will look at is this issue of abusing per diem, and this issue of you know, this travel, because there's hardly, you go to a ministry and there's hardly anybody there. All the top ministers, all the top directors, even at director level, technical level, the program managers, everybody has traveled. And you go to these ministries, you want to do something, there's nobody there to make these decisions. So I think Baron needs to also, you know, come up and start saying, I'm going to be radical even with travel and all of these things, because to be able to be effective, people have to sit at their desk and also work. Yes, you can travel, and you have to travel to learn and experience other stuff, but you also have to sit at your desk and answer to emails and write letters and answer to your staff and motivate your staff and do and work basically. And if you're not in the office most of the time to work, you're traveling from one destination to another, then we have a problem. So definitely the president has to be very radical about per diem. And I think that's also one of the things that we have to now, maybe my next campaign would be on travel, but we have to do something in terms of really making sure that people are at their desk and working. Fatou, we cannot continue to have people just, you know, abdicating their responsibility all the time. So I think, again, coordination, communication, coordination, delivery. Those are very important at the moment.
A lot of people are saying, you know, the appointment of Sankare, a seasoned journalist, a good communicator, effective writer, well educated, very poised, and he is now the new spokesperson of the government. Can Ibrahim Aji Sankare make a U-turn to help this government with effective communication? Because that was one thing that was really lacking. Do you think Sankare can help drive the communication with the help of the new minister of course, communication, Ibrahim Asila, to get the right messaging out there, to get us the messaging the right, yeah.
Well, one thing I know, I don't know much about Sankare because obviously I haven't worked with him much in the diaspora, even during the struggle. But somebody like Ibrahim Asila has the track record, Fatou. You have seen the work, that the transformation that he did at GRTS. So definitely, I think that combination, again, if they can work together, coordinate and work together and communicate effectively, again, I think, you know, it's going to work and it's going to be dynamic for the government, because Ibrahim Asila is a very dynamic person. He's very focused, he's very hardworking, and he gets results. We have all seen GRTS has definitely improved, you know, in terms of staff salary, in terms of conditions that they're working under, in terms of bringing in new faces and new people and new programs, etc. So he's doing very, very well. And I think that definitely GRTS has lost an asset today, but the government has gained, as long as the government is ready to use Ibrahim Asila in a way and communicate with him, so that he's able to really stand out there and be this, you know, and be the face of the government, because communication is really going to be ultimately the face of the government. But if he's ready, if him and Sankare can really, and Ami Bojang Sissoho can really coordinate and work together, I think they have a very good team. And if they can listen to Ibrahim Asila, who has, you know, years of experience, you know, I think it would be, you know, a very, very good combination there.
It will be a good combination. Mama, it's been a crazy week with the bread shortage, everything else. This news just overshadowed everything. So I think, Mama, who would you recommend for GRTS? I am very interested in who comes to GRTS, because that's, you know, they are my partners. I work.
Yeah, you have to work with that person.
I have to work with that person, so I am very interested in who comes in, and that's going to be an interesting thing. I don't know. Yep. You there, Mama? Lost Mama. So I'm just going to, God, I just want to get a PDIS or